I think it's time to bring Carrie in. I think our news
Let's
is over.
do it. I think so. I am not a news buff, but I
Yeah.
think that was all that was there.
Well, Carrie, come on into the studio.
She's like, no,
She doesn't want to. She's like, I'm scared.
I don't want to.
There she is.
Yay!
All right. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, Carrie. And I think it's been a year. I think it's been a year since you were on the show.
Oh my gosh, it probably has been.
Yeah. You have been one of our favorites here in the actual show. You're always so good. You're always so good at turning your cell phone off before you come on the show.
I know it's my skill.
You're always so insightful, and because I feel like you're one of the most legit lit RPG authors out there because you work in the video game industry, and that is just so cool. That is so cool.
I do. I'm just the luckiest person in the world. I get to work on games, and I get to write books about games. I've been a little slower, I admit, writing books about games the last year and a half, but I'm back in the saddle.
Good. Does that mean that they've been working they've been cracking the whip at the video game company or
factory?
You know what? I work for, despite how my characters might view video game companies, which is maybe rooted in some of my historical experience. I work for just an amazing company, and we don't crunch.
That's great.
Yes, it's awesome. It's great. Now, you know what? It was a depressing year, and it was just like my creativity was like where I couldn't go or something.
Right.
I wish that I could be in that zone sometimes where like no creativity for me. No, I can't do it. I need to like sleep or something. I wish I'm always getting myself into trouble doing all these projects and being on shows and like talking to wonderful audience members. Life is too exciting for me to not be able to be creative.
That you know what? When I went on and just I've been sitting there looking at my same four walls. I see my coworkers occasionally on Zoom, and I was just like, this is so much sameness. I'm not getting anything. And then I'll pull up Facebook and talk to some people that are waiting for more books, and that's super exciting for me. Like, I think that human connection that you guys get all the time is amazing. So I'm working on bringing that back for myself too.
Yeah, as everyone should. As everyone should. I mean, it's time for life to get back to normal, guys. That's what I think. We need to start getting our lives back and doing whatever we can to stay in touch and be humans together, So are you able to share any sort of video game stuff? Are you guys promoting anything that's just released?
We are still unannounced. I work for a studio called Paradox Tectonic, and we are owned by Paradox Interactive, which is just an amazing company making a lot of different games, but the kind of the wheelhouse is grand strategy and strategy games. Nice. And we're headquartered in Sweden. We're a very international company. So my studio is headquartered in San Francisco Bay Area, but the organization is Swedish.
I pretty much only play strategy games now. So it's really thrilling to hear that that's what you're working on.
Yeah.
So please keep me updated so I can play a game that Carrie Summers was involved in developing.
It is amazing because I have access to the library of everything that not only that Paradox has made in-house, but everything they've published. My Steam is amazing. It's just pages. It's just so overwhelming that I just don't even know what to play.
Yeah. But you've played them all, right? You don't have hundreds of games that you've never played like me.
So many games that I want to play and so little time.
That's Steam for you. That's Steam for you. They just make these ridiculous sales. It's just like, how can I not buy this?
You should just get the bundle. It's only $2 more and there's 19 games in it.
Yeah. Never play a single one because you're still playing, Beat Saber.
I've never played Beat Saber. I would like to.
Dude, it's good. It's good.
I've heard good things. Actually, Paradox, speaking of my great, I sound like I'm bragging, but I'm just I'm kind of a fangirl of my own company.
Please brag.
They gave us Xbox Series X's for Christmas.
Nice.
Wow.
And it's just complicated my whole life because I got the Game Pass and I'm just like,
That's too many options. You're like,
option paralysis.
Have them all.
Well, that's great. Tell us about Tales of a Northblood Book 3, and if Tales of a Northblood is going to keep going, or if Stonehaven League is going to keep going, or if you're starting something new. What's happening with Carrie Summers, the author, not the video game developer?
Well, Book 3 was a very fun one for me to write. I actually wrote it at the start of this year. And I really, I've spent a lot of time in my life adventuring in the mountains and the wilderness and rock climbing and some stuff like that. And I really wanted my characters to be able to kind of get out. And one guy kind of has like that level of experience, and then there's a game QA manager, and she does not have that experience. And so it was kind of fun to put the two characters where she knows how to play a game and he knows how to how to do mountaineering and glacier travel and stuff, and put them together.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun with that personally because it was like writing two sides of myself and then making them like try to get along and solve problems together.
I love the survival aspect of Tales of a Northblood.
I have like when I dream sometimes at night, I'll get post-apocalyptic dreams that are awesome. and they're all like this survival, like Mad Max and like out in the woods, and just like I wake up and I'm like, oh,
that does suck.
Life is good.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
That would be not actually really fun to be in, but it's so fun to imagine. And that's, But yeah, so I started this week. I started Stonehaven 8.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, it was. I've had a lot of fun with Tales of the Northblood, and what I think I'd like to do with those characters and that world is another trilogy, because I liked also being able to ramp something up and then close it out. So I know that especially for readers too and listeners, sometimes you don't want this never ending.
Right.
But gosh, going back to Stonehaven and just writing that first chapter and revisiting those characters, like I was having a hard time putting away my computer and doing my day job. So that's exciting for me.
Yeah, that's great. That's exciting for the readers and listeners.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I know I've been slow, and it's just it's been a strange trip for all of us, but I just want to write this book and get it out there. I think that Stonehaven League probably has. I agree, Jared. Well, I mean, I don't know. We've been through a really boring apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh, the worst apocalypse.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's the waiting room of apocalypses. it's the old folks' home of apocalypses. That's what COVID is. Just
no one brings us like jellies to eat.
Couldn't you guys have put a bit more, like a bigger budget on this apocalypse? Jesus. No effort whatsoever.
Yeah, I expected Stonehaven League. I wanted to have a natural endpoint, which I suspect I don't do well plotting that particular series. I don't do that well. Pre-plotting a series in general, I wing it. But I suspect it's probably going to go 3 more books. Yes, so that one will wrap up at about 10 books. And then the question is going to be another Northblood trilogy or something else. But I want to stick with LitRPG because it's fun for me too. Like sometimes making games is just like so slow.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Right.
And
writing a book like, and it just happens like magic and this game exists.
Right.
Do you read much LitRPG for pleasure for yourself?
Do I play one?
Do you read any of it? Or do you
play it? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I did quite a bit in the beginning, and it was amazing to me, like how it could bring out those same. Oh, I'm gonna try that game. I love survival games. They're awesome. Thanks, Richard. I got this sort of sense of like the same emotions that you can get from gaming, and I'd only ever had from gaming, and it was amazing to me to feel those from a book. Here's what happened to me though, is if I read LitRPG while I'm writing it, I'm gonna plagiarize the crap out of it. And somebody is gonna hate me. And it's not, I wouldn't be doing it on purpose. It would be like, because I don't know where the ideas come from. They just appear. And if I'm reading a LitRPG book, that's probably where they're going to appear from.
I can't count the amount of times I've thought like, wow, that's a great guitar solo I've made up, only to be like, nope, full on stole every single note of that.
Yeah. It's funny because I mean, it's such a fun genre to read, and it's just like so. I don't know. It combines everything that not everything, but so many things I love about life. But I don't want to rip off somebody else. Yeah. So if I do read, I usually pick something that's really far. Like I'll pick a sci-fi LitRPG or a totally different theme than what I'm doing.
So did you get into from video games to writing it, not out of a frustration to see stuff you wanted to see, or just because you loved the genre, or a bit of both?
I actually started writing science fiction and fantasy in general, and I started in short stories and going submitting short stories to magazines and working toward trade, sort of traditional publishing.
Right. Yeah.
And then I published some fantasy books, and it was really, honestly, I always loved this kind of the cyberpunk vibe and all of that stuff. I always loved it, but I was like, I don't know if people would. Is that just because I'm kind of old, but because I was, I had some formative times in the 90s. I don't know. But then I saw, I think I read Life Reset, which was the first LitRPG, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. And I was already in the middle of a series, which is now at 4 of 5 books, and I will finish it. But I kind of just started writing LitRPG because I was like, this is just so awesome. And I used to work on MMOs.
Oh, nice.
There were great things about it, like learning how to create MMOs, but I was like, it was really hard as one person. It's just, I'm a programmer, and I had this vision of what I wanted a game to feel like. And so, man, that was amazing. It had been a few years since I worked in that specific part of the industry, and man, it was fun to just write one and pretend that we could do it as developers. Oh God, it was awesome.
I feel like that's some of my favorite LitRPG experiences, when I feel like the author has designed a video game, like their dream video game, and it actually makes sense. It's not just random things happen.
It feels
and they
like a real
explain it
game.
away. Yeah, they don't just explain it away. Oh well, it's the game. but like they think of the design and then they try and come up with a cool story within that design. That's like Life Reset for sure feels like. You know, it feels like maybe Shemmer secretly has New Era Online on some hard drive somewhere that he, you know, for 2 decades or something, you know. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying there. That's and I think that Stonehaven League, you know, at least the chunks that I've listened through, especially since, you know, we're always going back and forth between the main character and my character, who's sort of like you know, I can't remember, he's like number 2 with the company or something like that, and
he's the guy that made the AI that actually generates the world, and he's super nerdy.
Right. So like him talking about, you know, the way things work from outside the game, you know, and then seeing those things, like the implications of those coding things happen within the world as the main character is going through, it's just so meta and fun. I think that's the best part of this genre, is like the layers through which you are perceiving everything. So yeah, so Stonehaven League, you got 7 books so far, and that's just one arc, right?
It is. And you know, it had it kind of there was a long quest line for 5 books. And that sort of led into the second arc of, now that you've completed this sort of epic quest line, here's the major threat. Like it's kind of like the character is on her first epic quest line, and I guess all the characters really, because it's, I mean, there's a couple main characters, but then we get some chapters from other people, and now it's sort of in this sort of world threatening arc that needs to, they have to fight this gigantic world spanning fight. But I want to
Game world? Game world spanning? Or
yes, well, not that's the thing, is I've had a lot of fun with Stonehaven because it bleeds into the real world,
right?
And that was something that was super fun for me. And I actually really like writing the characters outside of the game too, because it gives them, like, how are they in real life, and then how do they express themselves as gamers when they can kind of inhabit this other avatar.
Right. So would you say that the first 5 books of Stonehaven then would be one arc, and then 6 and 7 is the start of a new one, and then the next 3 are going to be the end of that arc? Okay, cool. So that will be one arc. Then Tales of a Northblood has already gone through one in a trilogy. Tales of a Northblood is also related to Stonehaven League.
It is.
Right, which that's another thing I love about LitRPG. A lot of authors do that. They like to just create different worlds and then have awesome lore connecting them. So Tales of a Northblood, though, one thing that I've found really compelling about that one is there's a little bit more of an emotional investment, I think, with the players there and the implications of why they're in the game. And that's a big mystery that you have to unravel throughout the series. But, you know, I remember going through some stuff near the end of book 3 that was kind of heartbreaking about what their situation is. And so I think that people will really enjoy that too. I feel like Tales of a Northblood, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Tales of a Northblood comes off as more of a romance, like, and it is a bit more of an intimate story than Stonehaven League, which Tales of Northblood, don't get me wrong, has some humor in it, but Stonehaven League seems to have a more epic and adventurous and lighthearted feel than Tales of a Northblood.
Tales of the Northblood is more serious, I think, and it's got some, the characters have a little bit more of a, I mean, the romance that is there in Stonehaven League, and there's not much. It's cute. Yes, and Seagrams. But Northblood, I felt like was a little bit more serious about, you know, how would people feel if they were really pulled into a game world entirely.
Right.
And I'm trying to avoid sounding like hoity-toity, because I don't think it is either. It just is. There's some things that I think were a little more heavy in it, and people coming from really sort of maybe a tough situation, and how does being in this different tough situation affect them?
Awesome. Yeah, so it's been really fun producing your books. We're really looking forward to more Stonehaven League and Tales of Northblood. Annie's in France right now. I wish she were here to talk with you a little bit more.
Why didn't she take me?
I don't know. I told her that she should have invited you, but she's like, I don't have time. I don't need, all these people attached to me. I just want to be free in France. So,
She's just in a rowboat in France.
Yeah, that's
the entire
all,
time.
That's all they really have. So I'm sure she's excited to get started on them. Do you have any ideas when either of those books might be? So Stonehaven would be first, right?
It will be first, and then I'll look at how. So I actually, mentioning sort of the different feel of those two series. One's a little bit more heavy. Life hasn't been quite as light and adventurous the last 18 months, and I didn't want to change the tone of Stonehaven. But I'm feeling like, if I'm going to be honest here, my kid is back in school.
You got your life.
And it's back. Like I'm just like, woo!
Just the light shining down.
Yes. I mean, I love her to death, but it was a challenging 18 months. So I'm excited about number 8, and I suspect, to be honest, that after number 8, I'll be looking at maybe another Northblood trilogy starting, only because I also have to wait on the cover production. Mm-hmm. I love the cover art for Stonehaven, but it's not very quick.
Right.
So that dictates my schedule too. So I would expect one from each, probably this fall, if everything else comes together. This fall to winter.
That's wonderful. Well, you heard it here, guys. Already 10 books total within those 2 series. So go and gobble them up. If you think Carrie sounds like an interesting person, you haven't read her stuff before or listened to, all of those things are available on Amazon. All of them are on Audible now. And any new ideas for series coming up maybe next year?
Speaking of like how I always have these post-apocalyptic dreams, I don't know, something in this system apocalypse like genre. That's kind of, I don't know. I waffle all over the place, but that's something that interests me. Is I have to think about it a little bit, but I mean, I think it would be fun to have that happen here.
You still have a survival itch to scratch, it sounds like.
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
I do.
Now that Richard has reminded me that Valheim exists, I might actually play that tonight, and then you guys will never see me again.
All right. Well, then I won't write any male parts, or I'll hope you guys get some step up a little bit.
All right. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking.
Thank you, guys.
We have a clip to play, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. A preview of Tales of a Northblood for anybody who hasn't listened to it yet.
All right.
He backed toward a stone rack to safely set down the iron bar. The tip still glowed a deep red. Mackenzie pushed open the door to the forge, admitting a welcome puff of cool sea air along with the bright grin she turned on him so often. Her smile faded when she saw the look on Jace's face. "What is it?" she asked, hurrying toward him while carefully avoiding the front of the furnace where cinders occasionally flew from the grate. "Are you okay?" He gestured lamely at the anvil.
"Bob, I killed it."
Mackenzie slowed and stared at the glittering mess. With sunlight entering the room through the open door, it was harder to see the faint glow that rose from the splashes of goo. But the sparkles caught the light. Oh, geez. Did it finally piss you off, or what?
No. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't been at least a little pissed at it now and again. But no. It appeared right under my hammer, squealed something in another language, German, I think. Then, splash.
German? Why? Jace shrugged.
Why did it like to play Scrabble? I'm not sure there was any logic behind it.
Can you remember what it said? Maybe it was panicked and trying to give us a warning. Maybe that's why it appeared in the wrong spot.
Mine leavin'?
Mackenzie's face went flat, the corners of her lips turning down. It wasn't mein Leben, was it?
Wait. Maybe. What are you thinking?
At least someone knows their history. The laughter seemed to emanate from the walls as, all at once, the quivering puddles of goo rose, forming trembling spheres like tablespoons of water in zero gravity. With a melodic tinkling, the globules zipped together, making little blooping noises as they joined back into a floating sphere. Bob flared with blue-white light as it finished reconstituting. Jace blinked. Mackenzie glared. This poor excuse for a firework was quoting from an ancient video game where you killed Nazis, Castle Wolfenstein. And if you had any clue about the history of gaming, you could have spared yourself these minutes of remorse over having murdered a fine soul such as myself, Bob said with a self-satisfied shimmer. Okay. Jace could see why Isel had apologized so profusely when Bob had declared that it would hang out in Ironstead during the preparations for the defense of Rhymeshore and the journey to the Icelands. When the Wisp had offered, Jace had believed its advice would be a fantastic resource for completing the next step of his epic mission, Winter's Quest. Every day, he opened his quest journal to check the objective, not because he really believed it would grant him more insight, but because it made him feel like he was doing everything he could to prepare. The words were ingrained in his mind. Quest entry. Winter's Quest. Rhymeshore is at war against an unbeatable enemy. Hordes of frost wraiths, ice golems, and larger, far more fearsome beasts march over the land. The barrier teems with nightmares making their way south to crush innocent lives. Nothing will squelch the Frost Lich's rage for having his barrow unearthed. Objective: travel north, rallying any available forces to stand against the Frost Army on your way to the Barrier Mountains and the treacherous paths through the Icelands. When Bob booped his nose, Jace batted at the wisp with his fist, part of him wishing the glowing ball would get back up onto the anvil for a good smashing.
So, Bob,
he said.
Was the goo splatter an illusion, or did you actually explode and reconstitute?
Bob shimmered again. An arcane denizen never reveals its secrets.
Shame. I'm just so fascinated with the ways of the arcane. You say you're a hive mind, which is pretty hard for me to imagine, but your other capabilities. I feel like if I could just get a grasp...
Yay!
That was one of my favorite LitRPG jokes ever. The Mein Leben. I thought that I had called Annie on pronunciations though. So I gotta review our proofing process. Damn it, Wolfenstein, right? And it is Mein Leben.
It is.
It is Mein Leben. So,
yes.
I played that game so much when I was in elementary school. Like, I actually learned what all the German stuff meant in the game. And that's the one sound clip that will never leave my memory.
I've never played Wolfenstein.
You never played Wolfenstein 3D?
I've played. Man. Yeah, I've always seen it and be like, oh, you want to play that? Because I was really into German when I was in high school. I was like, yeah, I want to learn German.
It was super hardcore, dude. You could get shot like 2 or 3 times and you were dead.
I mean, I'll play it then. I do not excel at video games.
Oh, well, then stay away, Gary.
I just put them all on easy and be like, okay, I'm really good.
I just downloaded, they did a big patch on Quake 1 Remastered. And
wow.
I just downloaded it. That's what I'm doing when I depart.
Oh wow,
That's
you're
gonna
playing
be
the original
fun.
Quake? Okay. I might have to check
Yeah,
that out
you
too.
know what? I used to stay up till like 3 and just death matching. I mean, there were times where I would skip. I really I probably shouldn't go there, but I figure I'm gonna be so bad now that it'll be all right.
Well, thanks again, Carrie, for coming. Hope you have a really good frag session. And yeah, I guess that's it. Everybody go pick up Tales of a Northblood.
I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys. This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Thanks for coming on.
Hopefully we have you on again soon.
All right.
Bye.